Imagine you're a Polish farmer. The year's 1942. You work your field, you tend your flock, much the same way that your family has on that same space for generations. Then one day, figuratively speaking, the Nazis come and they build a death camp next door. Now you can't leave, they won't let you. You have to stay there and work that field day in and day out. How does that affect you? Do you ever become normalized to working and living next to a death camp? Do you live in fear and terror every day? Does that change the way that you view your house behind you in your home space? Now consider that you're a Jewish person in the Warsaw Ghetto. You've lived in the city your whole life. You've never been outside of it. When one day they round up the ghetto and they send you off to the middle of nowhere, to this death camp, you're selected to live, but only if you work amongst the bodies, dragging them to and from the gas chambers every day. How do you survive that situation? Can you salvage your humanity? Does this space overwhelm you? Now imagine, if you can, that you're a German soldier. You've been taught your whole life that Jews are bad and that they must perish so that Germany might live. One day you're sent to work one of these death camps, and when you show up expecting a clean, efficient slaughterhouse, it sure looks a lot like the mass murder of innocent people. My dissertation puts these different voices into dialogue with one another in a way that's never been done before. By putting them together, I recreate what I call the space of Treblinka. Conceptualizing space is a natural thing to do as humans. It's something we do every day, where we project our thoughts, our fantasies, and our ideologies onto the places we come in contact with. For example, at Treblinka, for the Nazis, they assumed that Treblinka was a Menschenschlachthaus, as this pamphlet that I found in the CU library calls it. Now, Menschenschlachthaus is German for human slaughterhouse, and for the Nazis, they fully expected these death camps to be clean, efficient human slaughterhouses that could be hidden away in the wildernesses of Poland, where they could do their horrible work for Germany. And yet, because of the scale, the sheer scope of mass death being carried out there, these slaughterhouses could never be isolated. The Germans actually knew that. In fact, the commandant of Treblinka had to use scented wallpaper just to be able to live at Treblinka. For Jews who were selected to live here, they experienced some of the most horrible spatial things imaginable working amongst death every day, just so they might get a tiny sliver a chance to live. Now, because the scale of death was so big, the sights, the smells, and the sounds burst forth out from the camp into the nearby Polish countryside. This brought the local Polish peasants into the space of Treblinka as witnesses. Same thing for people who lived along these death train corridors, snaking to and from the camps. Collectively, these were the spaces of Treblinka. And understanding what Holocaust space looks like is important to identify and prevent future genocides. Thank you.